What's going on, Gacha Gang? Cumhaill back with another FGO video, and today we are talking about a servant who has previously been much maligned in the community, and that is Fionn. Now, I know exactly how you probably reacted when you pulled Fionn.
God fucking damn it!
But in the man's defense, he has received 3 upgrades. So we are going to be looking at a post-3rd upgrade Fionn, and we're going to see if he actually stands up or if he has remained meme tier. So like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let's get to it. Fionn's got a quick arts buster deck and an arts type noble phantasm, which gives him the ability to arts brave chain. His max HP at 12,750 is on the higher end. His max attack at 8,930 also ends up being on the higher end. I mean, it's still in the top 200, so that's better than a lot of other servants, and Lancers don't get a penalty to their attack like a couple of other classes do. NP per hit is fine at 8.55%. 2 hits on the arts card doesn't really help with that, but Fionn actually has some other tools in his arsenal that will help his NP gain. Star absorption is pretty average, as can be expected from a Lancer. As always, we skip the passives unless there's something really stand out in there, and we are going to move on to the active skills, starting with Clairvoyance Beauty, rank B++. This increases the star drop rate of all allies by 30 to 50% for 3 turns, and also increases the NP gain for all allies by 10 to 30% for 3 turns, and this is on a 6-turn cooldown. Having a decent amount of NP gain on an arts type servant is always a welcome addition. While the star drop rate isn't necessarily going to help Fionn that much, that NP gain makes this skill more than worth it. And in some later setups with a caster Artoria, the NP gain is actually very helpful when it comes to making this man arts noble phantasm loop. So I would definitely recommend that you upgrade this skill second. Upgrading this skill second will give you a 30% NP gain, and that is going to help you out quite a bit. Fionn's second skill is Uninhibited Resplendence, rank A. This applies Evade with a 60 to 100% chance to succeed on hit. So if you want this Evade to be really reliable, you need to get it to rank 10. It gives Fionn target focus for 1 turn, decreases his charm resist against female enemies, so if you're having Fionn fight a Queen Maeve or something like that, you better watch out. And it grants an NP gauge charge 20 to 30%, and this is on a 7-turn cooldown. Odds are, gang, until you get this skill to rank 10, you will not normally be using it for the evasion. You will normally be using it for the NP charge. And with Fionn's firm status as a potential arts looper, evasion isn't really something that's really on the high end of skills you really need. So I would recommend maxing this skill last. Fionn's going to suffer in some longer form fights because he's not really going to have a lot of defensive capability, but after you end up maxing this skill out, you're not really going to need to worry about that. Fionn's final skill is Magecraft, rank B. It increases his arts card effectiveness for 1 turn, and this is a 24 to 40% boost on a fairly short 5-turn cooldown. You definitely want to max this first solely because it's an effective skill, it is a pretty substantial boost, and it affects his primary card type. So when you Arts Brave Chain after using his Noble Phantasm, couple this with the NP gain on his very first skill, you are going to have a very good chance to max your Noble Phantasm again after using it. Plus, your NP will deal more damage. Fionn's Noble Phantasm is Mach-On Luin. This deals 600 to 900% damage to all enemies, and also gives Fionn complete immunity to mental debuffs for 3 turns. This also has the added overcharge bonus to decrease the attack of all enemies by 10 to 30% for 3 turns. If you have the chance to loop his Noble Phantasm on challenge quests, this is actually going to result in a very heavy attack reduction for your opponent. And it may even lead to some of your characters actually surviving Noble Phantasms, if you know how to play your Noble Phantasm cards right. But more often than not, you are going to be focusing this Noble Phantasm and using it to clear waves more than anything else, as with pretty much any of the wave clears in the game, the higher your Noble Phantasm's level is, the better. I would at the bare minimum recommend NP2 if you are trying to use Finn McCool as a wave clearer. As far as allies go, what Finn desires is very, very focused, which ends up leaving his ally pool fairly small and fairly simple. You want any arts type support you can get, so we're talking your Tamamos, your Caster Artorias, ideally. Yes, look out for her in a couple years, NA. She is going to be a game changer. Absolute game changer. And if you don't have any of those, there are, of course, a couple of other art supports you can pick. Gilgamesh Caster, of course, being one of the premier lower rarity picks. And if we're talking about going completely and utterly budget, Paracelsus von Hohenheim. I also do want to give a special shout out to Asclepius. Asclepius mainly because he has a very, very arts heavy deck and because he has the potential to heal allies for absurd amounts of HP and give them a fairly strong NP gain boost as well. This means that when it comes to challenge quests, Asclepius is really going to help keeping Finn alive, especially if your Finn does not have his evasion skill at rank 10. For craft essences, of course, Kaleidoscope, if you've got it, that is going to allow Finn to use his Noble Phantasm turn 1, even with his second skill at level 1. Of course, K-Scope is a 5-star craft essence, and on top of that, it's mainly good for farming, not so much for challenge quests. But don't fret, there are a couple of other options that are available. The recently released Mark on a Smiling Face is something I think is a very, very powerful craft essence that if you have, you should really give a shot. Arts card effectiveness, NP gain, and NP strength are honestly something any arts effective character could really, really benefit from. Of course, we do have the Prisma Codes event coming back to NA in a fairly short amount of time, which means you are going to have another opportunity to get Callade Sapphire. This is one of my favorite 4-star craft essences. It provides arts performance and NP damage, so Finn is definitely going to benefit from both of those boosts. And our command codes are also going to be just as standard as our supports for Finn. When it comes to Finn's arts cards, we want critical star absorption so we can maximize the NP gain off of those arts cards with subsequent crits. So we are going to be looking for something like Immature Illusionary Command Seal. That is just, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, command code you can put on an arts card, period. For the Buster card, it is very easy to justify something like Da Vinci Chan. Chuck that on there and you are going to increase Finn's NP damage by 15% for one turn. This does mean Finn has to use the Buster card before the Noble Phantasm is used, but the damage trade-off is always worth it. And finally, for the quick cards, Clairvoyance is an opportunity to increase Finn's star generation rate, so it's a good idea to just go ahead and supercharge that. Really, Code Glitter from the Friend Point Gacha is something I recommend putting on all quick cards as just a general rule, unless you have something better to put on them on a servant-by-servant basis. This is just a freebie command code that is very, very effective at what it does. Overall, gang, as the game has continued to evolve, so has Finn. With 3 separate buffs under his belt, he has finally become a pretty good servant and no longer occupies the meme tier. Don't fret though, he's not triple S tier. He does still have quite a few problems. He unfortunately has an evasion that has a % chance to activate unless you get it to skill rank 10. So we need some very heavy investment on that part. On top of that, his arts card effectiveness boost, while still the most powerful focus of his kit, only lasts 1 turn. And while the boost is substantial, having any card effectiveness boost last more than a single turn is far more preferable than anything else. But when you look at it, when you look at everything Finn McCool has gone through, you gotta have a soft spot in your heart for him now. He has really worked hard, he has really trained hard, and I really don't think you should just straight up rare prism him anymore. This man has more than earned his place in Chaldea. But of course I want to know what you all think, so go ahead and let me know your thoughts about Finn McCool down in the comments section below. Let me know if you plan to use him or if you still burn him for rare prisms. Let me know if there are any other allies you'd pair him with, any other command codes or craft essences you might consider using with him. And let me know if you pulled him from the Friend Point Gacha. Not Friend Point Gacha. Boop the Gacha, period. And let me know if this video has changed your mind. This is Kawaii50, hoping you have a phenomenal day. If you want to talk FGO, my Discord is always open. We've, of course, got the Patreon always going on if you think I'm doing a good job. And I'll catch you all in the next video.